3 p.m. already, so we should get started. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Untitled WebDev stream. My name is Lucas, and today we will be talking about mainly the terminal or the CLI. The title says that we will be talking about certain tools that run in the CLI, but yeah, today's episode will be kind of technical compared to the previous ones. So in this series, in the previous episodes, we saw stuff like languages like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, the basic building blocks for a website. And also we talk about the tools that you need in order to develop on those, like for example VS Code for handling the code that you write, and Chrome or Google Chrome in order to like actually see the output for that. So today we will be talking about let's say like a third tool that we need in the web development world, and that's the CLI. The CLI, or also called the terminal, is basically what you see generally like in the hacking movies, for example, or like in CSI or those shows that you have like a policeman or a hacker in like some kind of like black screen with green text and stuff like that. Also the Matrix, for example, stuff like that. They generally reference to the terminal because it kind of looks like super hacky and super technical. But once you get the hang of it, it's like actually quite easy, and you will end up like many of us preferring to use the terminal in many cases instead of just using a UI, a GUI or something like that. So basically, instead of using like your cursor, your pointer, you will end up preferring to use the terminal. So first, let's switch to the desktop. So in here in the desktop right now, I have the VS Code editor open. You should know this by memory already because I showed you this in the previous episodes. Hi, Halcon, thanks for following. So basically, if you want to get familiar with this tool, with the VS Code tool, you need to first watch the previous episodes. They are all available on YouTube. If you want to get the link for that, you can get it, but just in the chat right now, in the Twitch chat, I added a bot called Nightbot. So if you run the exclamation mark commands, I just did that, you will get a link to the list of commands you have available. And if you run exclamation mark YouTube, I can write today. You will get a list of the streams I had so far that are all uploaded to YouTube. So still, this same stream will be uploaded to YouTube later, and I will have all the links I will mention through this stream in the description. So feel free to like just expand the description and check the links in there. So this is like the tool that we already use, and the one that we will be checking today is this one, the terminal. Okay, so one thing that I want to make clear at first is that I already said that, for example, VS Code, the editor, and Google Chrome, the browser, looks exactly the same, or like pretty much the same in every operating system. So if you are in like Linux or Mac OS or Windows, you will always get the same experience. But with this terminal experience, you will have like kind of like a different experience in every operating system, because this is like more like close to the machine, to the operating system. So it changes a little bit depending on the operating system you are. So I'm currently on Linux, so this is like the terminal for the Linux distribution I have installed in this computer. But in Windows you will see a different terminal, and in Mac OS you will see a different one. So in order for me to like avoid forgetting, I already did this list I have in here in order to remember. So in Linux you will have the integrated terminal. Basically, if you go to you press the start button and you type terminal, you will see like an application, and just by clicking on that you will get to this application in here. Okay. If you are on Mac, you also have some kind of the same experience. Basically, you go to the applications, and if you type terminal, you will get something that is like pretty much the same. The only one that is like kind of super different to the rest is the one in Windows, Basically it's because that's the worst one. So the one in Windows is the worst terminal of all. You actually, if you want to have the same experience I will be showcasing today in this stream, you need to actually download it first. So in order to get the same experience, you can run the command in the terminal. I will add this in the description of YouTube. Is if I remember correctly, is CLI Windows? Let me check for the commands. I added this today. See, yeah. So CLI Windows. If you run this command I just added, then yeah, as Nekta just mentioned in the chat, thanks by the way for all the all the sharing in your socials, Nekta. So if you run this command, basically you will get in the chat a link with all the steps you need to follow in order to get the same experience you get on Linux and on Mac, basically, because that's the best experience you can get on a terminal. So for now I will show you this. If you can't follow this step by step on Windows yet, you can watch the stream later, it's no problem, but yet the vast majority of things apply to all operating systems, so just try to still follow. I don't know. So basically today I will be showing you the basic navigation on this terminal, how to get, for example, to a folder or to a file, or the same thing you do with the basic UI when you do a double click in a folder or something like that, to achieve the same in here. And once you are kind of familiar with the basic commands in here, we can start checking out two of the most important tools we have on web development nowadays, and those are Git and Node. Okay, so first let's start with the navigation. By the way, I maybe there are some new people in the chat. Remember that if you have any kind of doubts at any point, for example, why are you talking in English if you are an Argentinian, right? Or something okay, can you repeat that command, or can you do this, or can you do that? Just interrupt me at any point and we can see it. I'm doing this in a stream form instead of doing just uploading videos to YouTube directly, because I want to interact with the public directly and address the questions as soon as you get them. So yeah, let's start. So basically, as soon as you open the terminal in any operating system, in Windows if you have installed you follow the instructions, but in Linux and on Mac, you will see something like this. Okay, this has my username in here. So my username in this computer is Luke0, everywhere, and then an @ symbol, and then this is the name of the computer. This is my old MSI, so that's why it's called MSI old. Okay, but this is the name of your computer. So this might vary. For example, I don't know if Nekta someday installs this. I doubt it, but let's say he installs this, he will see Nekta in here, and in here maybe I don't know, the Napia computer or something like that. Okay, so this is just a symbol in order to know where am I right now. So let's say, for example, I'm this tilde symbol, this symbol over here symbolize that I'm in my home folder. So the home folder will be documents on Windows, for example. So that will be this folder. I'm currently on this folder. That's this symbol over here. And this $sign is just to separate what I'm typing from the information, basically. So it's like a separation symbol. It's just there for that, okay? So one command I can run right now, and it's one of the most useful ones when you don't know where are you or what are the folders in the place you are, is to press ls or just L, but let's say ls for now. So ls is list. It's a short command that basically means list. Okay, so this list will show us the folders currently on the folder we are at. So as I said, we are on the home folder. So as you can see, let's open the UI just next to this in order to have a comparison. Here, ls. So we have desktop, games, public, videos, and in here I have desktop, document, downloads. This is sorted by, I think by abecedary, if I remember correctly, and this is also, okay, desktop, document, downloads. desktop document downloads, and then games, music pictures, game music pictures, and whatnot. So I'm in the same folder, okay? Now, let's say I want to go into the desktop right now. So I want to change the current folder from my home folder or documents folder to my desktop, okay? In order to achieve that, in the UI, I just do a double click. That's super simple, right? In here, I need to run a command again. And the command is cd. Comes from, is an abbreviation of change directory, because folders originally, like back in the day, were called directories. So that's directories, right? So cd comes from change directories. So you can read this as change folder, sorta, okay? So cd, and then I type the name of the folder I want to go in. So for example, I want to go into the desktop. So desktop, okay? If I type enter in here, now you can see that the place I'm in changed from the home folder, so this tilde symbol, to the tilde desktop. So I'm basically inside the desktop. And now I can again type ls, and I will get the same folders I will see in the UI, okay? So far we have ls to see the folders or the files that are currently on the place I'm currently on, okay? And cd to change the place I'm at. So for example, now I want to go inside the episodes 04. So this is what we do, what we did in the episodes 4 to 5 of Untitled WebDev stream. Hey, thanks for the raid, White. So now, the Nightbot is responding by itself. Thanks a lot for the raid, and thanks for the follows as well. So the episodes 4 to 6 basically are there were the previous ones I did, and they are uploaded to YouTube already, but this is the code that I had in there. So again, if I do ls, I can see the files that are in there, okay? But now the problem is, I'm currently on a folder inside a folder inside a folder, so I'm inside desktop, inside episodes 4 to 6, right? Thanks for the follow, Simi Griffin. That's kind of hard to pronounce, sorry. So let's say now I want to go up again. So I want to go from episodes again up to the desktop, right? So let's say I go inside episodes and I want to go back here to desktops, okay? In order to achieve that in the terminal, we need to do cd again. And this is like kind of like a special symbol that we can use, and that's dot dot. Dot dot basically means up. So go up one level. So we are currently on desktop episodes 4 to 6, and if I do cd dot dot and press enter, thanks for the follow, Whited, and I go up one level, right? So once I do cd dot dot, I'm again up in the desktop. I can change this by doing ls again, and then again I see the folders on the desktop, okay? You might ask, or you might have this question, why is dot dot the symbol to go up one level? That's because the dot level, if you do like one dot, that dot represents the current folder. So if I, for example, do something crazy like cd dot, I will, like, you can see that nothing happened. That's basically because the dot means cd to the current directory. So basically it's like change the folder to the current folder. So that doesn't do anything because it's like basically changing to the same folder I'm already at, okay? So if I do cd dot dot, that means go up one level. So that will take me back to the home folder. You can also, instead of going one by one, that's kind of annoying. Let's say I want to go from the desktop to these episodes again. It's kind of annoying because in here in the UI I need to go double click on desktop and then double click on episodes, and that's kind of like a long path, right? So in order to achieve that with just one line in the terminal, I can do cd to change the directory, and I can do again desktop, and then the slash, the same slash that you can see in, for example, a URL on a website. So let's say I go to google.com, let's try something, or Twitter, maybe Twitter. Let's go to Twitter. This is the best example, like almost every time. So you can see in here that I'm in the help.twitter.com/n. Let's say that from the URL perspective, so in the website, the /n is like a folder of sorts, okay? So going back to the terminal, I want to go directly to these episodes 4 to 5, okay? So I go cd desktop and then episode 04 to 5, and pressing enter takes me directly to that folder without doing like cd desktop, cd episodes 4 to 5. I directly put the entire path, the entire like place where that folder is, and I go directly to that. If I want to go 2 levels up, I can do cd ... enter, and that is going up and up, okay? So the / this symbol over here basically allows us to separate one folder from the other, or like one file inside a folder or something like that. So it's like a separation symbol basically. And when I do ... is basically like go 1 level up, that will be the desktop, / other level up, so that will be again going back to the home folder, okay? So this is like the basic navigation. I want to go to a place, I do cd something, for example desktop, and ls to see what's on that folder, and cd ... to go up or down, okay? Robert on the chat says, on Mac we just drag the folder in the terminal, we need to just write cd drag. Okay, yeah. The UX is kind of different depending on the operating system. So Robert is saying that you can just like drag the folder. So let's say, for example, I want to have that folder in here, I just can drag. Like it seems like Linux has the same feature, I didn't check, so thanks. So now if I do cd here, like it takes me directly to that folder. Thanks for the tip, Robert. So you can also in here in Linux, at least, if you want to directly open a terminal in this folder, you can do like the context menu. So that's like your right click, and you have like open in terminal, so that basically will open a terminal directly on that folder, okay? So let's go back to the home. We saw the ls to see the list of files and cd to change the files, and I was using like sneakily, I was using a command once and once again in here. So if I see it set the desktop, I was using this clear command. The clear command is just a command that clears the screen. So for example, let's say I have like ls, right? I have all these things in here, like, and it's like a lot of noise in the terminal, so it's like what I'm doing. So generally when the terminal is kind of full of stuff, I have this bias. Maybe you can tolerate this, it's kind of annoying for me at least. So you can run a command called clear that basically clears everything. So as soon as I do this, I go again to the top and I don't have anything on the screen. So that's kind of cleaner, right? So as soon as I have quite a bunch of stuff, I just press clear and it clears. And if you run it without anything on the screen, nothing happens basically because it's already empty, right? So we saw navigation already. I have all the reminders of things we need to see directly on here because I know that I will end up forgetting something. So now we can see, that's okay, the creation and deletion commands. So basically, what can we create things in the terminal directly? Because for example, let's say I want to create a folder in here in the desktop. From the UI, I just need to do like context menu, new folder, and in here I can do something like, I don't know, hello there, and I created that folder, okay? From the terminal, we can do something similar, but obviously with text, okay? So in order to create a folder, I can just do mkdir. So this is basically make, the mk comes from make, and dir, as I explained previously, is a way of like saying folder basically. So mkdir will create a directory. If we just run this, we will get like there is something missing in here. So we can run mkdir and help, and that will get us some help about this. That's pretty common with any kind of like command on the terminal, you can just do mk there help, and you get a lot of text explaining how to use it. So if you want to take the time, you can do this, or you can just Google it as we all do. So let's clear. So mk dir, and following that we put the name of the folder we want to create. So for example, let's say I want to create a folder called Untitled WebDev stream. So I just press mk dir uws, enter, and as you can see in the UI, the folder appear. We can just check in here by just doing ls, and now that folder exists on our current folder, right? So I can do cd uws, and now I'm currently on the folder I just created. You can also create files from the terminal directly, so that will be similar to Windows when you do like context menu, create, and notepad in here or something like that. It's kind of similar to that. But in here, what you do is, let's say I want to create a txt folder called hello world, okay? So I can do touch, like touch, just touch. Yeah, it doesn't have any kind of like extra translation or anything like that. It's just the word touch. And following that, the name of the file we want to create. So that will be hello world.txt. Okay, so now we can do ls, and now that text file was created. We can also check in here in the UI, the text file was created. The file we create this way is empty, so we can just like open it, and this doesn't have any text on it, okay? Close without saving. So now, let's say I didn't want to create this hello world txt file and we want to actually erase it, right? To erase it, we just do rm, that is basically remove, okay? So rm and hello world txt, okay? If you wonder this, because you might wonder this, I'm not that fast at typing, so you might saw that I just type like hello and suddenly the entire file is in there. That's because some terminals, at least in macOS and on Windows, this is true. I don't know how is this on Windows, but in macOS and on Windows and on Linux, sorry, you can just start typing the name of the file. So for example, hello, and if I type tab, the tab key, the rest of the file name is auto-completed by the terminal itself. So because we only have this hello world file in here, as soon as I type hello and tab, I get hello world txt auto-completed for me, okay? So, as I was saying, we have this rm that comes from remove, okay? So we can remove the hello world txt file. So press enter, and suddenly the file is removed, okay? Let's say now that I want to remove the directory altogether. So this folder uws, I want to remove it from the desktop. So I can go up one level, cd dot, and then rm uws, okay? So as soon as I do that, I get an error coming from the command saying that cannot remove uws because it's a directory, okay? So in order to actually remove it, we need to do this. This is kind of tricky, but let me go into deep. So rm is still the same command, right? It's just remove. This hyphen r like parameter will be the name. Yeah, that this parameter, this added thing that I put in here, this hyphen r, basically means recursive. Recursive is basically that if you want have like a folder inside a folder inside a folder inside a folder, and you delete the one on the top, when you add the hyphen r, recursive means that it should delete the current one and all the ones that are inside of that. That is kind of like a security feature in order to avoid deleting something by accident, right? Because you don't want to actually delete, I don't know, system 32 on Windows, for example. So in order to avoid that, you need to actually be sure that you want to remove recursively. You want to remove an entire directory. So with this, if I press enter now, uws is removed like from the desktop because I actually specified that I wanted to remove it as recursively, so a directory can be removed, okay? So basically we saw ls to see the list of files, cd to change from one place to the other, desktop. The tab key, so as you can see, when I want to go into episodes, I can type like epi tab, right? And now because I have 2 episodes that starts with 0, then it needs to be completed by me. So let's say I want to go to the 2 to the 3. So I type 2 and then tab again, enter. In here I can create something like touch example.txt. So now we have this example.txt file created in here, and now I can remove it by just doing rm example.txt, right? So that's pretty much it. Let's go up to the desktop. Now, let's see if I'm forgetting anything. Directory creation, file creation, and deletion. Awesome. If you check the previous episodes, I never have this kind of list in here prepared. But I knew for a fact that I will forget something about the terminal because it's kind of complex and it's more complex than the previous stuff I shown. So I need this kind of like reminder of the things I need to show you, okay? So I already showed you basically all the navigation, the basic navigation you need in order to basically kind of handle yourself when you are working in web development. You don't need anything more technical than this. So just like creation, deletion, and just move around, okay? So now, the 2 commands I mentioned on the title of this stream, today's stream, is git, git, and node, okay? Those are like the 2 basic tools that you need in the CLI, the terminal, in order to do like good web development, okay? So the first one we will be seeing is the one called git. But before going deep into the git command, I want to show you like why is that this tool exists at all. So I will show you like the basic scenario that triggered the creation of this tool, okay? Hi iRetro. So let's open folder. Let's open the last one we had. So this is the code we were using so far in the stream so far. So let's open it on the browser as well. We can go to cd, ls first, cd episodes 0 to 4, and in here I can do open login.html, I guess. Nope. Okay, let's do it directly then. I'm kind of used to the some of the commands that are in your OS X instead of Linux. So login HTML, and let's open this on Chrome, I guess. Chrome, and let's drag this in here. So this is the website we created in the previous episodes, okay? Let's open it in here. It's just like a login with a sign up, and you can create users and just log into them. It's not like something super fancy. It's just like a showcase of JavaScript with HTML and CSS, okay? So why was Git created, this tool that I will be showing you? Basically because development was kind of hellish at some point. Let's say I want to now change something in here, but I want to still kind of save the styles I have so far, okay? So I have these styles and they look kind of okay. Okay, it's like, yeah, the blue button looks fancy and whatnot. But let's say I want to change this button to be red, just to test, but I want to save every styles I have. So basically what you usually do is, let's open the container folder. What you usually do is just to like, I don't know, create a folder maybe like backup and copy the login in there in order to like not lose it. And then now I have this backup with the login, and then I can change it to red, for example, and refresh, and now the button is red. Okay, that's awesome. But now if I want to maybe, yeah, like let's say we did like a few more changes. For example, the text in here could be black. That's kind of dark. And let's say I want the text color to be white. That will be disappearing, but okay, whatever. Color white. There. And I want to make the background black. Background color black. Okay. So now I test it and it looks kind of okay, like it looks far better than previously, but let's say that this looks kind of okay for my taste. But when I show it to the client sees this and is like, no, take it back, I want to be white and with the blue background again. So in that case, I just go ahead and like basically go to the backup I have, copy and paste, and this is kind of annoying, right? Because we have this, like, we need to go back and forth between the previous states of the things we have and the future states, and going back and forth, and it's kind of annoying. So this Git tool that I will be showing you today, the terminal Git tool, basically is a tool that allows us to like save the history of every file in a folder. So that will be like, for example, like the undo button you have in, like, I don't know, like Microsoft Word or like Google Docs or whatever. The undo button you have when you make a mistake or something like that. But imagine to have that in an entire folder, in every file in a folder. So that's basically it. Like, you have like a history of everything that happened on that folder, and when you want to like undo something that you did or change something in particular and test it and maybe take it back or whatever, to basically have a history of the entire things that happen on that folder, Git is the tool that allows you to do that. That's one of the benefits of Git. The other benefit is not like super clear right now, because we are seeing like super basic stuff and we are working basically alone. But once that you start working with others, when you start working collaboratively with other people, then it makes more sense, even because Git takes care of mixing the changes that other people did with yours. So let's say that, for example, I changed the border in here to be red. Let's go to the browser in here, to red, and some other person on the same project I'm working on is changing the button color to red. So we are two people working in the same file, right? That's kind of like hard to do if you don't have any kind of tools, because you need to, like, I don't know, go to the chat and say like, hey, I will be working on the border, so try to not change this because I will be working on that. And he needs to tell us something like, yeah, and I will be working on the background colors, or that's like a really hard workflow, right? So Git, I will show you like just in a minute, right? But Git allows us to actually have several people working on the same file, and Git by itself will figure it out which changes should be merged or mixed together. So I can work like I was the only one working on this file, and my coworker can do exactly the same and work just like in this part without thinking about me. And once we are, the two of us are done, those changes are mixed together and we get like the actual file with the two changes mixed in the same file, okay? So let's go to the actual terminal and see how this tool works. Where I have the reminders, I closed the reminders, right? Yay, let's open them. I don't want to forget anything there. Bing. So first we will see initialization and status. So those are in here in the terminal. I'm already at the episode 46, so I'm in the terminal in the same folder I'm on the on VS Code, right? So as you can see, if I do ls, you can see that we have login CSS and login CSS, login HTML, login HTML, login JS, login JS. So we are exactly on the same folder, right? So in order to sort of install Git in this folder, start Git on this folder, we just need to do Git Init in here. Git is the basic command that we will be using, and init comes from initialization, basically. So we want to initialize, bad pronunciation, sorry, but we want to make an initialization of Git in this folder, right? So as soon as I press enter in here, let's expand this, I see a message coming from the command Git that says initialization empty Git repository in and the folder we are at, okay? So if we go back to the VS Code, we see some colors in here that doesn't matter right now. It will be matter in like a few minutes, but for now let's just ignore the green change color, okay? So for now we don't see anything different, right? We see this, what is this VS Code thing? I didn't add this, so goodbye. So we have this login CSS, login HTML, and login JS, but we don't have anything else on the folder. So what did Git did, right? It didn't did anything at all. So when you run Git Init, that creates a hidden folder inside your folder. That's kind of like tricky to pronounce, but yeah. So if I do ls, I don't see anything. So in order to see hidden folders, I need to do ls space -a. That will be like list all. The A comes from all, okay? So list all. And if we press enter, now we can see that there is a Git folder created in here. So if I go in there, cd.git ls, in here there are like a bunch of files that are created. But lucky for you, lucky for me as well, you don't need to worry about the content of this folder. You will never change this folder manually, okay? This folder is handled by Git itself, by the command, so you don't need to go in here and change anything. So we can just ignore it. We can go up a level and pretend that it's not even there. So ls, there is no Git folder anywhere. It was actually created and Git will use that folder. So if you remember the example I just provided like a few minutes ago, where you had like a backup folder where you copy the things that you previously had, so that Git folder is basically that. It's just sort of like a folder that will have all the changes and all the history of your files just in there, okay? So ls git anything. So the other command you need to actually like learn from Git, and is one of the most useful and one of the ones that you will use the most with Git, is Git Status, okay? The status basically tells you what is happening right now, or what's the current status of your folder, okay? So let's do Git Status. And we have like a bunch of stuff that it's kind of hard to understand, right? Because we have like on branch main. So what's branch main? What? No commits. Yeah, what's a commit, right? And untracked file. Okay, I guess we need to track this or whatever. And just like in this line, we start to get some kind of help from Git. It's actually telling us use git add. So this is another command we will see in file, so the file name, to including what will be committed, okay? So let's do Git Status. Basically status right now is telling us, let's ignore these previous things for now, is telling us that Git detected that we have these three files in here, login CSS, login HTML, and login JS, but Git is not tracking them at all. So if we change them, or we delete them, or we do whatever we want to do with them, Git will not save a history of that file, okay? So if we delete them, it's delete forever. If we change them, it's change forever. There is no way of going back. So we need to manually tell Git what we want to track, what we want to actually like be aware of the changes or the deletions or whatever happens to the files. So in order to add them, we can do git add login.css, okay? So if I do git status now, for example, it says that we have this file now is green and it says new file. So now Git is aware that we want to track this login CSS, but yet login HTML and CSS JS are still not tracked. So we don't have a way of actually knowing what's happening with that file, right? So we need to track them all. You can go one by one, like git add login.html and login.js, and that's kind of annoying if you have like 100 files or so. Or you can just do git add dot. If you remember, at the beginning of the stream I showed you that the dot represents the current folder. So if I do git add dot, it's basically like saying add everything in this folder, okay? So if I do git add dot, and then let's do a little clear in here, and we do git status again in here, we get new file, and new file. So these 3 files are now being tracked by Git, okay? So everything that happens to those files will be tracked, will be like basically Git will be saving the history of those files. We still need to do one more step, the last step, and that's basically what's called committing. That's why we have this no commits yet in here and change to be committed, okay? So that's where this comes in like hand basically. So the committing is basically like when you commit to that change, when you are actually like saying that these changes I did and these changes I basically created these 3 files, I want to save them. I want to actually save that because I'm sure that I'm committing to these changes basically. I'm sure of the changes I did, okay? So in order to commit this change, and this change is basically creating these 3 files, I do git commit, and then a -m, the M comes from message, and in here between quotes we put basically the description of the thing we did. We basically just added login CSS, HTML and JS. So let's say added login, okay, or something like that. So we press enter. We can see some like added login in here. 3 files were changed, 158 insertions. These basically are the amount of lines of code that were added, and in here we have like some kind of like description of the things that were created, okay? So let's clear again. As I said, one of the most important commands from Git is Git Status, that allows us to see what's happening. So let's do Git Status again. And now we get on branch main. I will already explain this branch thing, so just ignore it for now. Nothing to commit because we already committed all the changes we had. Working tree clean. So basically this means that the thing that Git has stored, that has saved, the history it has, matches with the current state of the directory, okay? So what does that mean? Basically, if we now go to the login and we do some of the changes I mentioned, like for example turning the button to red because it looks awesome. Now if we go do again git status, we get that the login CSS was modified. Remember that previously it said that it was added. Now that it's already added to the Git history basically, now we get like in here a marker telling us that something changed, okay? So we are not longer in a clean branch as it previously said, like working on a tree clean, like it's not longer clean because we changed something. So it's not longer what Git has saved, okay? So Git status, let's do it like we have this modified in here. Now, just to show you why in the first episode I mentioned that VS Code is just such an amazing tool for developers, some of the things I show you in the terminal can be done directly on the VS Code editor in here, okay? So you can see in here that we have this modify file, right? But also you can see that maybe it's not clear enough. I can make it bigger if it's not showing on the actual stream. But you can see that we have an M in here, and if we hover over it, the description that the tooltip that is showing says modified. So VS Code is already aware that we are on a Git folder, and login CSS was changed, so it's putting an M just in here to tell us that something changed on that file. So even if we are not aware, let's say for example that you are working on this file, right? And you go to the bathroom and I don't know, like a nephew or something like that goes to your computer and do something like, I don't know, like this, and saves it and goes away. And when you go back, you are not aware that something changed, right? But VS Code is already informing you that there is something different on the file and you can go ahead and check it, right? So how can we check what changed, right? Because maybe I'm here and I don't see what my nephew did, like what's the problem in the code. So I can go to this tab over here, the one that has like a 1 in it. That one is basically telling us that something changed as well. So we can go in here, and in here we have the list of files that changed lately, like what were the latest changes. So if we click in this, we can see on the left, let's remove the sidebar for a second. On the left, we can see the previous state or the previous history of this file. So the file originally had this margin auto in here, and now on the right you can see where a direct comparison, we can see that all this string was added in here, and we don't want that because that was added by my nephew. So we can remove it, for example. And now, as soon as I remove it, I can see that there is nothing changed on that line in particular, right? So I can save it. And now, also, we can see this change. This change is one that I really want to do. I really want to turn that button red. I mean, for any kind of your grandma or any kind of regular user, if you check a red button, you will kind of be afraid of that because it seems like a danger button or something like that. But just for the sake of this example, let's make it red, okay? So we have this red button in here and this blue in here. I want to make this change real. I want to save it. I want to be part of the history of Git. So instead of doing all this process on the terminal, you don't need to go in here and do it again like git add login.css and all the things I just showed you. You are not you don't need to do that and just that. You can go in here in VS Code, go to the tab I just showed you, the one that has the 1 in here, okay? And if you hover over the one file, for example, this login CSS, you can see some icons in here, right? So we have this one, just opens the file for you to edit, okay? So I can go ahead and edit it. This one over here is there to undo the changes you did. So basically, let's say I added this red and I make this red as well, and I make everything red because I love red, okay? So let's save it, and I really don't want all these changes actually, okay? So I can just press this undo button, this discard changes button, and as soon as I click it, I will get a confirmation first because maybe you don't want to do that undo. Hi to Pidoki, thanks for following. So if you discard these changes, basically you go back to the original state. Thanks to Pidoki. Sorry, I just read the chat. So now all the changes were undone, okay? But I still want to turn this button red, right? Let's go here. This button blue is kind of awful. So let's make it red again, red. Now, as soon as I do that, you can see that that appears on the left in here on the tab for source control. Source control is basically Git, okay? So if I click in here, I can see the change, and this change is the one that I want to commit, I want to save. So first, I press on the plus sign. This plus sign is the same as git add login CSS, right? So I just added that file. And once that is added, as you remember, we need to commit this change. I want to really commit to it. I'm sure that I want to save this basically. So in here, on the top, you can see that it says message. And if you remember, I told you that if you do git commit -m, this m comes from message. So basically that's the description of the change you did. So in here, we can put something like red button. Okay, and now that we are sure about it, we can click in here and that will commit the change. So that's saved, that's it. Yes, but as I mentioned at the beginning, the fun thing about Git is that Git allows us to have control over the history of every file, right? So let's do Git again in here in the terminal for now, and we have a really useful command that is called log. So log is like a log, just like a list of things that happen, okay? So if we press enter in here, you can see that we have this string that for now doesn't matter at all, okay? It's like a really long string with a lot of details that we don't mind right now. Then we get the author of the change, so that's me in here, and that's my email, okay? Please don't send spam or anything like that. So in here we have the date of when that change happened, and in here at the end we have the message of the commits. So this basically is like the entire history of Git. So we have the red button is the last one because they go from the last one, from the present to the past. So from the last one to the first one. So we have red button in here, this is the last change I did, and added login is the first change I did, okay? To get out of this mode, because as you can see, if I type things I get like weird errors or whatever, it's like, what is this? In order to get out, you need to press Q. Q is from like quit, to go away basically. So if you press Git Log, it shows you the list of things and you can navigate with the arrows if there are more changes. But when you want to go out, just press Q, okay? And that will take you back to the terminal. So now we have all those changes. But as I mentioned in the first example, let's say that I committed this and it's like, yay, the button is red because I like red. And then a designer comes by, checks my website and says like, hey, red is not a good color because red looks like a cancel button or a delete button, and that kind of is making the users afraid of the login because they think that maybe they will destroy the world or launch some nukes or something like that. So you need to change it back to blue. And sadly, designers, when they are like that, they are right, because like red is not a good choice for buttons that are actually actionable. So the buttons like login or confirm or something like that shouldn't be red. So I need to go back in time, right? So one way of doing that, there are like many ways, but one way of doing that is doing again like this Git Log. And I want to go back to this point, right? To the point where the added login was done, not to the red button, because the red button is the thing that we want to undo, right? So you can just go ahead and this like really long string of numbers and letters and stuff like that. This is basically like an identification, like the name of the thing you did, okay? So we want to go back to this one, so I need to select this one and copy it, okay? Q to Git, and then I can do Git checkout. Checkout is basically like I want to go to a place in the history, okay? And I paste the code that I copied, okay? So clear. If I go in here in the VS Code right now, you will see that the blue is back in here. And that's basically because we jumped back in time, okay? So we were from the red button to the blue button again. You might be thinking like, yeah, but it's just one line. I can just like change it back, right? And you will be right. But the thing is like, this is useful when you have like, I don't know, like for example, like 100 changes in like 50 different files. So that's like super hard to go one by one and remembering like what was the thing that I changed in here and in here and in here. And it's far easier to just go to Git and say like, yeah, just undo the last thing I did, okay? So Git Status. Now it says something that is kind of weird in here, like head detached. This is kind of like a gruesome image, but it's like some lingo from Git. It's like some like special way of mentioning stuff. But this is basically like saying that you are in a place in history that is back in time. It's not like the latest, okay? If I want to go to the latest, I just need to do Git checkout main. And that will be taking me back to the present where the button is actually red, okay? So you can go back and forth whatever you want. And once you are sure about the change, you just need to commit it again, okay? Let's see if I forget anything about this. So adding and committing, history and... okay, we need to see a little bit about branching. So let's open a really good designer tool. This is the best design tool you will ever see. It's called Microsoft Paint. And I use it to draw things when I want to explain something. So let's say that you have the history. Okay, so as I show you, you have, let's say, the first one. So let's do in here in the terminal, actually, Git Log. Okay, so let's have that in there and the painting here. Okay, so we have a first moment in history. This is the added logging. Okay, this is the first thing that Git recorded of my folder. So let's put in here something like added logging is okay. Added logging. This is like one moment in history. Okay, the next one, let's say like something like that and like that. The next one is the red button. Okay, so this is red button. Okay, so these are the 2 moments in history we had so far. Okay, when we went back, when we did like the Git checkout and we went back in time, basically what we did was something like this. It's kind of nasty, but yeah. So basically we went from the added login, from the red button, back to the added login. So we were able actually to, from there, change the history altogether, because it's like going back in time, like with the, I don't know, like the DeLorean or something like that. So basically, when you go back in time and you change something in the past, you can also change the future if you want. So if I go ahead to this and instead of making the button red, we make it green, for example, then this moment in time, this red button will be undone, for example. It's like it disappears from history altogether. Okay, so let's say that I want to test how it looks to go to a red button, but I don't want to actually change the main history line. Okay, this is like kind of nerdy, because I really love all histories, like all sci-fi related to going back in time. So I might get kind of nerdy. If I don't make something clear, just let me know and I will try to make it more clear. But basically, there are different type of like theories of like going back in time. One is that if you go back and change something, then you change the present as well, right? So that will be the scenario we had so far. But Git allows us to go to another back in time history that is called branching. So basically it goes from, instead of just changing the current line, like this line, and added the red button directly in here, we can just create a branch in time in which we test this red button. So red button alternate branch. Okay, so this is in another branch like the tree branch. Okay, so we have this main timeline and we have this branch in here in which we could test if the red button looks okay. And the designer also could travel into this line and check it as well, just in there, okay, to make sure that everything is working fine. And let's say, just for the sake of this example, that the designer is okay with this change, like they like the change, then we can just go ahead and merge this line to the main line again. But if the designers are not okay with the change we did, we can just like delete this branch altogether and it will never affect the main one. Okay, so how we do that, because it's like a lot of like drawings and zero code examples. So let's go back in here. Let's undo that and oh man, here, alas, yes. So Git sorry, I'm lagging because Git checkout main. Yeah. Just ignore me for now. I'm doing some super technical thing, but I want to just go back in time for a second, and I don't want to use the commit yet. Where is the symbol I need? Okay. min there. Git reset hard head shift insert 1. I think it is. Yay. Okay. So that was a point in time where Luke used something technical that didn't want to show today, but whatever. So now we are actually Git log back in time. Okay, we are at the point of the added login. So we are in this one. Okay, let's paint it red in here in order to make clear this is the red and this is the other red. So we want, instead of altering the main line, we want to create a branch, okay, in the line, in the main line. So in order to do that, we have the command that is basically, I use the word once and once again in order to be super clear. So it's git branch that creates a branch from the point I'm currently at. So I'm currently in the main line in here in the added login, and I want to create a branch from there. So I will branch from there, and let's say this branch is called color button color change, something like that. Okay, so now if I do git status, I said at the beginning that this is the most useful one because it's the one that allows you to know where are you at currently, okay, in the git history or whatever. So git status will show you that you are still on the branch main. So this basically means that I'm currently in here, okay, but I want to change my branch, my current branch, to the one I just created because I just created one for this. Okay, so to go to there, I need to do git checkout button color change. Okay, so as you can see, Git shows us in here that we switch to the branch button color change. So now if we do git status once again, instead of saying on branch main, it says on branch button color change. So now we are in here in this line. We didn't create the red button yet, but we branched from the main to a new branch. Okay, so we are currently in here. So nothing to commit, working tree clean. So we didn't change anything. So for example, now I know that the designer doesn't want a red one, so we could test like maybe a green one. Let's check it on the browser. Yeah, it kind of looks, I don't know, decent enough, and it looks like a confirmation or whatever. So we can save this. Again, as you can see, we have like a really good workflow of Git combined with VS Code. So currently we know that this was changed, so we can go to this in here and say like, what changed? Yeah, from this color to green. This is what we want. Added testing green color, and let's confirm its change. So if we do git status now, we get on branch button color change, nothing to comment because we already saved the green color. As you can see, the green color is in here. And the good thing about this is that, let's now put this on green because this branch now has a green color. So now we are in here, right? But what happened to the main line, right? The one that we didn't want to change. It wasn't changed at all. That's the good thing about branching, about creating new branches. We don't change the main one, so we are not affecting the main work. This is useful for us because we can go back and forth between the changes we want to make and the current status or the state of the web app we are creating. But also it's useful when you are working with, for example, like other people, because basically they are also working on their own branch and nobody is like stepping on each other's toes, basically. So if we change again to git checkout main, we go back to the main main branch. So go back to this one and we refresh the website. The button goes back to green, to blue, sorry. So we can go from one to the other. So git checkout button color change, and if we refresh in here is green. So we go like from the button color change to the main, and none of those are like overwriting the other. Okay, One thing I forgot to mention is that if you want to see all the branches you have so far, you can just do git branch without putting the name of any branch. So git branch name creates that branch. Without any names, this shows you the list of all the branches you have, and the one with the asterisk to like besides it is basically the one we are currently on. So we are currently on button color change, but there is another branch that is called main, the main one. If I press Q in here and I do git checkout main, and then I do git branch again, you can see that now the asterisk is next to the main because I currently am main, but it is showing me that there is also another branch called button color change. Okay. So now, let's say let's say now that I show the designer the green color one. So I go to git checkout what was button color change. Okay. So I showed this to the designer, and the designer is okay with it. It's like, yeah, green makes more sense than red, look. So we are all fine with this color, we show it, and we might, for example, have something like some users access one branch and some users others. You might be aware of this, but for example, I don't know, Instagram or Facebook, they have different branches of the apps. So sometimes it happens that some friends of you have like a feature. For example, I don't know, some friends of yours have like the new histories for Instagram, and you don't have them yet, or some of your friends have the latest design of Facebook and you still have that design that looks like a web page of the 1980 or something like that. So those are basically branches of the app. So you can not only use the branches internally for your designers to show them or to avoid stepping on the toes of your coworkers, your teammates, but also it's useful to test different things for the users. So let's say also that I make this button color change branch available for some users to see if they are okay with the green color. So once we test it, everything is okay. The designers approved. The clients or the users are like happy with the green color. So we can do the following. We can do git checkout master first. Oh, no, master. Sorry, main. So we changed to the main branch. So we go back in here. But now what we want to do is basically make these changes. Oh, sorry, I still have the green color in there, and that kind of is awful. So we want to make all the changes of the green color to go to the main one, right? To merge the timelines, basically. So we can do that by just changing first to the main one. So I just did. So if I do git status, I now get that I'm on branch main, and that's true because the button goes back to blue. And to merge the changes, I just do git merge, and the name of the branch, what was it? Oh god, I forgot. Sorry. Button color change. Okay, so git merge button color change, if I remember correctly. Yay. So now once I do this, I'm merging the button color change branch into the main branch, the branch I'm currently on. So I just, from here, I say, hey, everything that is in this branch, take it to here. Okay, so this shows us something. It says updating and some symbols. This is like some technical stuff that doesn't matter at all. And in here we get that in the login CSS file, there were two changes. Something was added and something was removed. So if we go in here we are currently, if we get status, we are currently on main, but now main has the green button as well. So if we refresh in here, we have the green button in here. So that basically allows us to work in parallel with coworkers, test features, and if they don't work, we never change the original ones. We can go back and forward in time, etc. So that's like basically, like, if I remember correctly, those are like, yeah, there are the basic features of Git, okay? Like the actual Git terminal command. One thing worth mentioning, download and install. Oh, okay, yeah. In here in the chat, Rayton Hannah is mentioning that Git, the actual command, doesn't come with the terminal. It's not that as soon as you open this, like this terminal, and you do something like Git Init in here, you will get something. You might get an error like doing like that. So you might get an error like command git instead of derp, right? Command git not found, did you mean, and something like this, okay? An error, because Git doesn't come with the operating system. It doesn't come pre-installed, okay? So you need to actually install it. Thanks for reminding me, Hannah. So let's say that you want to install it on Linux. To install it on Linux, you have the same process that you have to install pretty much every software on Linux. So if you are using Linux, you are aware of how to do it. But for example, in Ubuntu, the distribution I have is like sudo apt get install and get or something like that. Okay, so this is on Linux. On Mac, to install it on Mac, you need to use brew. So I will put the link on the chat right now for the Mac OS users, but you need to first install that, and that will allow you to do brew install git, and that will install git on your terminal. And for Windows git, you go to the first download you see for Windows Git on Google, and in here you have like different download options, and you can download it and use it. Still, supposedly, if you follow the steps of the CLI Windows command, so the one CLI Windows, the one that I just sent on the chat, if you follow those instructions, you should get Git as well. So maybe you don't need to download this, just follow those instructions and you get it, okay? So one thing worth mentioning, besides all the commands I showed you so far, is a really like common place to use Git with, and that's called GitHub. So GitHub is basically like a social network of sorts, like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, but for developers basically. And in here you can publish code and also like save code and change code and whatever. And everything like you do with this website, you do it through Git. Basically, you use Git to use this website. So let's go to my username in here. Look, Shiro. So this is my profile in here, and if I go to here to repositories, repositories are basically like the way of saying folders with Git, for example. And in here I have some projects, like for example my own website, the one I showed you before. Oh shit, so it takes like a little bit to load the first time. So this website is all the code for it. So if you want to, for example, like use it or change it or make a website similar to this one for you, you can just go to my GitHub, and in here there is like a lookshiro.me, and if I click on it, in here there is like a list of files. This is basically all files that were uploaded to this GitHub website using Git, the Git terminal, okay? One thing, I will not go super in deep to how to do that and whatever, because I just want to like show you the basics of Git, but like you have like a lot of tutorials besides this one that I'm trying to provide you, right? So if you go to like YouTube, youtube.com, in here, and you do something like Git tutorial, like I think there are like ones from 1 hour, 20 minutes or stuff like that. So Git tutorial. Yeah, you have one in here that is like a crash course of Git. So if you want to learn more about Git, you have this one of 32 minutes. You have one in here in 50 minutes. So you can just check everything related to Git in 50 minutes. And also you have in here how to use it with this could be a good one. Let's save the link for now. Chat. So this is a good one. You can, if you want to do like a follow-up after this stream, right? So for now, I think we are quite okay, because like pushing and pulling will be like super technical for today, and I don't want to bore you like for yet another hour using push and pulling. But basically pushing and pulling, this last step that I will be skipping for today, is basically the way that you upload and download Git code to places like GitHub. So if you want to download this code, you can pull it from here, or you can push code if you want to change it, basically. But yeah, there are like a lot of tutorials of that. If you still want me to go into deep with that, I can like do it the next episode if you want. But I want to also cover Node today, so let's just keep it for now. So the last command or commands I wanted to show you today are the ones that are related to what's called Node, okay? And Node, there is no way of describing Node that is not like something like game changer or something like that. Node was created by some folks that basically made JavaScript, so this language that we have on the browser, this 2 + 2, this JavaScript, the thing that I show you on all the previous episodes. So Node is this language, but running directly on the terminal. And you might wonder like why I want to run JavaScript in here, right? It's like JavaScript is good for like doing stuff on the browser, right? But the thing is like, the good thing about Node is that because JavaScript can run on the terminal, JavaScript can be used on the server as well. So what I meant when I said that Node is a game changer is that basically Node made possible to have the same programming language on the front end, meaning in here on the website for the user basically, and on the back end, meaning on the servers, on the, where you store like all the passwords and when you do all the like the actual intense work and all that. So basically you have the same language all over the place. Previous to Node, one of the most common languages for backend for the server was PHP. So that might ring a bell, because every time you look for web development tutorial, it was all caps tutorial. If you Google web development tutorial, it's like, yeah, like PHP 101, for example, in here. So it was like super popular. But basically, when you had PHP, the previous popular language for backend, the problem with that was that you had one language for the front end and one different language for the backend. So basically, it's like you needed to learn yet another thing. But thanks to Node, and let's go to their website, Node.js. Thanks to Node, to this tool I will be showing you today, basically we have to learn only 3 languages. So that's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And JavaScript is useful both for the front end, for stuff like I show you to like have a login or whatnot, and for the backend in order to handle all the logic and all the things that you don't want the users to access. So you end up just learning 3 languages instead of having to learn JavaScript, CSS, HTML, and having to learn something like PHP or C# or I don't know, like .NET or whatever. So you, with JavaScript, you are fine enough to have like be like what is called like a full stack developer. So yeah, Node can be downloaded in here on their website. So if you just go like to Google, google.com, and you just Google like Node.js, the first result would be the one that you want. Maybe you go to the download direction directly. But in here you have options to download it for Windows, Linux, and Mac, and it will be working like pretty much the same for every one of those, okay? So, just to show you that it's already installed in this environment, so I have it installed already on this Linux machine. So if I do Node, I guess, version, I have 14.9, okay. So, the latest one, what is the latest version? Let's check. 14.11, whatever. I'm a few versions back, whatever. So now just to show you what I meant by having the JavaScript on the server or on the terminal, you just do like node in here and press enter. And in here, let's keep the open terminal. So in here, as soon as I do node and press enter, I get this welcome to the Node.js and version I have currently installed. Type help for more information. I could do just help. And I got like all these commands. I don't care about them. So let's clear. So in here, I'm already at what is called a JavaScript REPL. REPL is just an abbreviation of read, evaluate, and what else? My memory is lacking today. REPL. Read about print and loop. That's okay. So basically, what this is doing, it will read the code that we write, evaluate, so run it, show it on the screen, and then allows us to do that again. So that's why it's loop. But just to be clear, basically, I can do something like 2 plus 2 in here, and I get the 4, and it's exactly the same that I do in here. I can do, for example, const hello. And that's like a string that says hello stream. And if I type hello in here, I get the hello stream. And if I do that in here in the terminal on the browser, I do const hello, you know, and I do hello in here, you know. So it's like it's exactly the same experience, even with this undefined that is being returned by the assignation. So basically in here, I'm running JavaScript, right? This is important basically because this tool Node is used basically by every like decent library and framework and language that is being used nowadays on web development. That means that, for example, if you want to go in deep into what I will be showing you in the few next episodes, like React.js, this is one of the most demanding job positions that are available right now on development. So if you want to go into React, this is one of the many libraries that are out there. Node needs to be installed in your computer in order to make it work, okay? If you want to go to the competition of Angular, of React, you can go to angular.io. This is yet another library, pretty popular as well. You need Node to make that work. So basically, I wanted to make this entire episode in order to make you familiar with the terminal and with Node, and I will be showing you one more thing just in a few seconds. But I wanted to make you familiar with all this environment, mainly because those are like the basic things that you need to go to the next level, and the next level is basically Angular, React, and whatnot. Okay, so let's clear in here. If you want to go out of this, you might think that the way of going out is just pressing Q, like like it happened with Git Log, for example. But now in here you need to press Ctrl and C, and you need to do it twice. So like as soon as you press Ctrl C, that is like the console. It tells you like to exit, press Ctrl C again. So as soon as I did that, I went out. So I'm back into the terminal, right? So Node is just JavaScript, okay? It's just that. But it comes bundled once you install it. So if you install Node in your computer, it comes with two commands. You have Node, but you also have a command called npm. And npm is like the crown jewel. It's like the chef kiss, right? It's like the missing thing that Node needed in order to be what it is today, okay? npm, you can go to npm.io, I guess. Nope. npm.js. npm.js. Today is not my day. There. So, if you go to their website, like even if Node and npm comes bundled together, they have their own websites. So you have one website for Node, Node.js, and you have one different website for npm. These two come together. So as soon as you install Node, it comes with npm, but they have different websites for each, okay? So Node allows you to run JavaScript directly on the terminal and allows you to have like a more flexibility with JavaScript basically. And npm is an abbreviation and it's not what it says in here. This is just a joke they have. Let's make a zoom in here. So every time you click in here, you get like a different explanation to what npm is, but it's just a joke they have. So for example, like Narwhal Parade Maestro or Neoclassical Piano Montage or npm's Personal Messenger or Next Prince Montage. It's just a joke, okay? npm actually comes from Node Package Manager. So it's like a manager of the packages of Node.js. What that means basically is that you have the power to use code made by others. So for example, if I create some code to make this login experience, for example, to make it simpler, I can just publish it into npm. And then if you want to create something similar to this, but you don't want to write all the code, you just want to have the same experience look created, then you can just go to npm and install it. Meaning that this is a way of sharing our code, okay? So instead of writing everything from scratch, you use code made by others. This is the crown jewel, as I mentioned, basically because this make web development and development in general, like of like the backend web development as well, like an amazing experience, basically because you don't need to create everything from zero, right? Like you don't need to. A good comparison will be to, for example, let's say you want to create a new car. You won't create like the actual tires yourself or the actual engine yourself, or for example like the mirrors on the sides yourself. You will actually create maybe the shape of the car, the general shape of the car, or like maybe the performance of the car or whatever. But then you will contract, I don't know, a certain provider to get their wheels, a certain provider to get the mirrors, and so on and so forth. So basically the parts come from things made by others, right? So npm is the same, but for code. Instead of creating your application from scratch, from zero, you use some parts created by others. So I can think of a good example right now for like maybe CSS reset will be, yeah. Normalized.css, I guess it will be a good one. Yeah, okay. So I will show you an example with just a minimal thing today. So in here in npm you can like basically search for different packages. I already searched for one that I already know, but you can like search for different things. Like for example, you want to have, I don't know, colors maybe, and then you type colors and you get like a lot of results, and these are sorted by popularity. So in general, you get at the top, you get the result that is like it has the most quality and has the biggest amount of users. So generally it's the one that you can trust the most, okay? So I want to use this normalized CSS. This package, you can like read the description and whatnot, but this package, what it does is basically, I show you in the CSS episode that every element in HTML, like for example this H1, every element has styles that comes with the browser, right? So for example, these styles weren't written by me. This came from the browser itself. So for example, it has this display block and this font size and this margin and whatnot. So it has like a lot of things that come with the browser, and I don't want that, right? So normalized CSS is a CSS file that one folk created. Let's see, this Nicholas guy, because in here you can get the list of people that worked on this project. So this Nicholas guy created this normalized CSS file. And normalized CSS basically is like a way of dealing with the default styles to make it easier for me to work with the styles without like mining the styles that come with the browser. So how can I use this, right? It's like, it's pretty okay, but how can I use it directly on my project? So in order to use it, let's copy this. Copy there. So I go back to the terminal And in here I yet have the current project open, right? So I need to first do what something similar to Git. I need to do npm init. Okay, I need to initialize npm in my current directory. So I press enter to that. So this is explaining itself, but basically this utility will walk you through the creation of a file. Okay, so this is similar to the .git folder, but instead of creating a folder, it's creating a file. Okay, it's just one file. So it will ask me some questions. The first question is what's the name of my package? So let's say, yeah, it's episode 4 to 6. So enter. The version 1.0, yeah, let's say the version is 1.0. Description is the Untitled Web the stream examples. The entry point, we can ignore this for now, it's being auto-completed, so whatever, yeah, enter. Test command, also we can ignore this for now because we are not seeing test yet. I will be showing you how to do test in the future. And the Git repository, this is if you have it upload already to somewhere like GitHub, for example, you will put the repository in here. So press enter again. Keywords, let's say examples and Untitled Web the stream and JavaScript and CSS and HTML. This is like a list of things that are related to my current project. Okay, press enter, and the author is me. So look, and let's put my email in here. Hi at elshiro. The license, this is like mainly legal. The usual license that you will use in here is the one that is called MIT, that basically is like I allow you to copy and use and do whatever you want with my code, but I'm not responsible if that breaks everything on your side. It's like you can do whatever you want with my code, but I will not be responsible for it. Okay, so MIT. This will show you for a second what we'll be creating. So this is the content of the file that will be created. So is this okay? Yes, I guess. So yes, enter. So as you can see, as soon as I do that, in here, a file appeared. Okay, this is the package.json. This is basically like a JSON file. I already talked about JSON in the JavaScript stream a few days back. But basically, it's a JSON file. It's just a file with a JavaScript object, basically, that has some details about my project. So the name of the project is episodes 4 to 6. The version is 1. The description is this, and so on and so forth. So it's just like a description, a general description. But this file has yet another utility on it, and that's that now we can use npm to add things to my project. I already said that I want to add this normalized.css file, right? So in here, we already get the command in the website. So just by clicking, I copy it. And if I go in here and paste it, I get npm I normalized. This I is basically install. Okay, I can even write install, but it's like just abbreviated. So npm install normalized CSS. When I press enter in here, it will take a few seconds or a few minutes depending on your internet connection, but this downloaded something for me. Okay, so where was that download, right? It's like I just run it. I get this normal episode is not a repository field that can be ignored, but then I get like normalized CSS, added one package. Okay, I added the package I wanted, and audited one package. This audited is because npm takes care of a lot of security features as well for you. And if you have something insecure in your code, it will point it out. It will tell you like, hey, this is insecure, uninstall it or remove it. Found 0 vulnerabilities, so we are okay. Now, where is normalized CSS, right? Because I don't see it in here. It's like login HTML, login. We have this package JSON, and now this was added, these dependencies, and in here we see the normalized CSS, but that's not the CSS file. It's just like one text, whatever. And this file that can be ignored for now, it is some technical stuff that npm does, but where is normalized CSS, right? So If we go to the terminal, where did I leave it? In here. Clear. ls. So in here we have login CSS, login HTML, login CSS, and suddenly we have this not models folder in here. In here is being hidden by default, but we can show it, I guess. But so we have a not models folder. Okay. If we cd into that, as I showed you at the beginning of this stream, no models, enter, ls. In here we can see this normalized CSS is also a folder, so cd normalized CSS, and inside of that we get the actual normalized CSS file, the file that we wanted. So in order to actually use it, we can go to the login.html, and in here we have already the login CSS file we are using, the one that we are authoring, the one that we created basically. But we want another one, the normalized. So we can copy this line, put it in here, and instead of using login, we go node models / normalized CSS / normalized CSS. So this will be added to our website. If I go in here and refresh, now you can see that something changed a little, and that's because, for example, the defaults of the H1 were changed to something that has more coherence. The margins that, if you remember correctly, I think was like the first CSS episode we had. The body has a margin by default, but not any longer, because now normalized.css is adding margin 0 for us. So we don't need to, every time we need to remove the margins for the body, we don't need to actually do it ourselves. We can just install normalized CSS and use it. Okay. So that's like the main advantage of this. We can use code made by others to simplify our process of development, right? So this is one of the things that make our lives easier, basically. So I think that pretty much sums it up. It's like I thought this will be like more complicated to show today, but it seems like I was kind of wrong. Yeah, because it's like just npm and the repo was the things I wanted to show you for npm. But basically, we need to get familiar with the terminal, because we will be using it like a lot to install dependencies and stuff like that. We need to get familiar with Node.js. This Node.js, no. So Node.js basically is like the command that gives us Node as a command line for the terminal in Linux, Mac, and Windows, and basically allows us to do JavaScript on the backend besides of the frontend, and with npm in order to be able to install code made by others and make our lives easier. In here again you can see that VS Code provides us several tools to make our lives even easier and don't like avoiding being like all the time in here in the terminal. So for example, I can go in here and I can add all this code I just created. Like I can just like add this and press the plus button and put something like added normalized.css. And I didn't have to go to the terminal to do that in particular, for example. Also, just in case, I think I just did it by accident because I kind of used to do that, but you don't need to have the terminal open besides the VS Code. VS Code by itself has an integrated terminal. So if I do new terminal in here, you can see that a terminal opens in here. Let's make it look the same as the one I was showing you. So this. So basically, you have the terminal directly on the editor. You don't even need to have this opening here. So I can just close this, and we have in the left our old code, and we can go even to the changes that were done to the code. In the right, we have the actual code we are seeing, for example, login HTML or login.js. And on the bottom in here, we have the terminal in which we can, for example, add npm I and install the dependencies we need. So we end up like using mainly just VS Code with the terminal open and the Chrome browser in order to debug the things that we created. So yeah, I think that for today's episode that will be it. as always, remember that if you have any other questions about this, you can just like ping me on any of my socials. Let's just switch to that view in order to see the link. So you can go to my website. In there you have several of my socials, so you can contact me directly, even in Twitter, in Telegram. You can ping me anywhere. You will never be annoying for me. I love to talk about this. That's why I'm doing this stream basically. So also if you don't want to ping me, you can just like add a comment down below in YouTube once this is uploaded. So if I see, for example, that some of you have all the same questions or something like that, I can tackle those in the next episode. If not, then we can carry on with and we can start seeing other things related to the terminal, and maybe we can start with React the next episode or the one after that. So thank you a lot everyone for watching, and I see you next time.